The Richmond Police Department confirms a second officer has tested positive for the coronavirus.
Crime Insider John Burkett is live to tell us now how these public servants are protecting themselves in the midst of a pandemic. John?
Well, Bill, several Richmond police officers are now quarantined. Some officers telling me anonymously they don't have the proper protective gear, adding they don't think bleach wipes and masks are adequate. For the second time this week.
I'm not at all surprised to see a first responder that's contracted this, just the nature of what they have to do.
A 1st Precinct police officer in Richmond tests positive for COVID-19. The department confirms the male officer in his 40s was in contact with the precinct's first positive test. Crime Insider sources tell me she was a supervisor who had returned from New York on March 13th.
If I found out that she's got the virus, I'm going to try and find out everybody that he or she has interacted with. And hey, you need to quarantine for several days. But what starts to be the problem is, what happens if that happens to 4 or 5 officers and in more than one precinct or more than one jurisdiction, and it just blossoms?
For now, RPD confirms that adjustments have been made to staffing and staffing levels are adequate, adding that 1st Precinct has been thoroughly cleaned and disinfected. CI sources tell me they believe leaders are reacting, but a depleted supply of skimpy masks and sanitation wipes to clean cruisers used by multiple officers on different shifts makes some in patrol think they're not taking officer safety very serious.
Just think of simple traffic summons. The officer has to touch it, the violator has to touch it, the court clerk has to touch it, the secretary in the office has to touch it, the judge has to touch it. And every one of those, paper is actually being seen as the virus living on a piece of paper for an hour, sometimes longer.
And there's no word tonight if the officers quarantined have symptoms. Again, police say they've done some rearranging to make sure all shifts are covered. Working for you outside of 1st Precinct tonight in Churchill, John Burkett, CBS 6 News.